What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to JDSNerdVerse. We're doing a ranking video today for the top fighting type Pokemon in Generation 1. We have 5 contestants. We have Hitmonlee, Primeape, Hitmonchan, Machamp, and Poliwrath. Okay, so we're going to go it's a little combination of things, like feel for the playthrough. It actually lines up, my prediction before I even looked at the times, lined up exactly with with the order which I thought, so it's not solely based on time, and there may be some playthroughs that are coming like a replay in the future where I'm going to see if I can get better runs out of every one of these Pokemon. But for now, we're going to go with the list that I have. The worst, we're going to go from worst to best. The worst fighting type Pokemon in Gen 1 is Hitmonchan. So Hitmonchan doesn't actually have like bad stats or anything. Stats aren't horrible. You have a really good attack, pretty good defense, and decent speed. The problem with this Pokemon, and you have the exact opposite happen with a different Pokemon here, is its stats don't coincide with its moveset very well, and vice versa. So, if you look at this Pokemon, we have very high attack, very high defense, okay, and high speed. So, we should have a moveset that kind of like, synergizes with that. So, we have a high attack. Let's have high attacking moves. Let's have moves that are stab, etc. Instead, a majority of the moves we get with this Pokemon are special based, and our special's very low. We can get some high damaging moves, but none of them are stab, so they don't work. They work decently well with our attack. There's a playthrough I'm contemplating doing where I literally just lean in heavily to the attack, don't do any of the elemental punches, just do like Mega Punch, Body Slam, Seismic Toss, and Agility, and just lean as heavy as I can into that, and see how well this Pokemon does. So that may actually result in a better playthrough. I don't know. We'll see. But it's way down the line, and I'm not doing it anytime soon. But the stats of this Pokemon do not coincide with its moveset. This Pokemon has a pretty cool thing where it actually has like fire, ice, and thunder. There are no extra side effects to those, so you can't burn, you can't freeze, and you can't paralyze with those. So they just don't work well with a stat of low special. And also we do have a stat modifier with this, but even with a stat modifying move, it doesn't help us. And actually, I think agility, having it that early in the game, hinders us because it does not let us have other moves. We have to be very cagey about our moves very early, and we have to hang on to agility to get all the way through the game. Whereas the other Pokemon, actually a lot of the other Pokemon in this list don't even have another move they can do. They don't have a stat modifying move, so they're relied solely upon their moveset, via a level up or TM moveset, to boost their stats, and this Pokemon still doesn't come out on top compared to those Pokemon. So that is why of the 5 fighting type, Hitmonchan is the worst. It came in at 1 hour and 53 minutes. So the next Pokemon came in 28 minutes faster. Like I said, it doesn't have stat modifier, and I don't even think it has the stats as good as this Pokemon, or it's as good as this Pokemon. And that Pokemon is Mankey and Primeapes. Now, I think this is the first actual fighting type Pokemon I ever played through as in this game. So I think with another playthrough I can get a little bit better. But see how the stats for this Pokemon aren't very well. So I'm going to talk about something called I call it stat variance. I think it's a way that the game produces a massive weakness for the Pokemon. So for example, our highest stat with Hitmonchan is 105. Our lowest stat with special in general is 35. So that's a 70 stat variance there. It's a big variance between your best stat and your worst. And that creates a weakness in your Pokemon, where our special is not good. And then add that to the fact that all of our, a lot of our moves we get in the game are special. And it adds to a bad playthrough. Whereas, if you look at Mankey, actually, I almost say a bad playthrough. Hitmonchan wasn't the worst. But it was under 2 hours. There's a lot of Pokemon over 2 hours that aren't even going to come close to that if we try to play through again. But what I mean by that, now look at the worst stat with this Pokemon. Attack is 105, and the worst stat is our special and defense at 60. So that's only a 45 stat variance. It's a massive difference, and it just works and coincides better. And we can easily mitigate that by a couple carbs and a couple iron if we want to get the defense up. But with this playthrough, if I did this again, it would be a lot better because I would pick vitamins that would have boosted the stats of this Pokemon, making its moves even better. So if you look at this Pokemon, stats are great, and a lot of the moves it gets do coincide with its stats. The only, like for example, you start the game off with Scratch. That's a physical damaging move. It's not great, but it's physical damaging. And you get Low Kick, which leans into your, not only is it stab, but it also leans into your attack stat. Karate Chop, same thing. Fury Swipe, same thing. Seismic Toss doesn't matter, but it just does the equal to your level. But Thrash is another move you get that leans into your physical damaging attack. Even though it's not stab, it does lean into your attack stat. And then if you look at TM moveset, you got attack, you got Mega Punch, you got Body Slam, the usuals that Pokemon get that are pretty helpful. Hyper Beam is even available to you, that leans into your attack stat. But this Pokemon actually doesn't have a horrible special either. So its special is not great, but it's not the worst. And you can get Thunderbolt, which helps you mitigate some things. So that's where this Pokemon I think has a massive advantage over Hitmonchan. Now what it's lacking some move diversity. You don't have a lot of things. You do get access to Dig, which is good. But you only have 2 stab moves you get in this game: Low Kick and Submission. And Submission's garbage. So Low Kick is good, but it's only good for a portion of the game because you can actually just get more powerful moves that are not stab moves later, like Body Slam. So this Low Kick is 50 base power with stab at 75 base power, right? Body Slam is 85 base power, and it's also 100% accurate, where Low Kick is not even 100% accurate. So it's just better to use Body Slam. It also has a propensity to paralyze. It has the option for that. So Thrash is actually probably a better move than Low Kick as well. So there's just better moves that aren't stab, and I think could probably hold this back. But like I said, I think if I replayed Mankey, I'd get this done in under an hour and 20 minutes easily. And the time it came in with was an hour and 25 minutes and 1 second. So I think there's a lot of things I could do very easily that could turn this into a sub hour and 20 minute run. But Primeape sits right there at number 4 on my list. Number 3 on my list is Machop, Machoke, and Machamp. This Pokemon is pretty solid. So here we have another example of stat variance, which creates a weakness. And if you watch the playthrough, luckily there's a lot of ways to mitigate that weakness. You do have this stats that can mitigate it. The right stat is boosted to mitigate this weakness. But 130 attack and 55 speed. That's 75 stat variance then. Almost 80 stat variance. It's a huge variance in your stats. And what's good about this Pokemon is it is a little bit better about synergizing its moves. So Karate Chop and Low Kick are both attacking moves. You get them early. Low Kick is stab. It just has a 10% chance of missing. And in Submission you can get, but like I said, Submission's garbage because if it hits, it's great, but you also have recoil, and there's also a 20% chance to miss, and it's just not great. But when you look at its level up moveset, its TM moveset, Mega Punch, Body Slam, Hyper Beam, you get access to Double Edge. You actually can use Earthquake. So I think that's really what this Pokemon has an advantage over the other fighting types, is you actually have a move that can do things against like Ghosts, so those aren't as hard. But if you watch this playthrough, and this playthrough only took an hour and 22 minutes, so it's actually a pretty good playthrough. But where this Pokemon struggled was against gym leaders, because a lot of the gym leaders outsped, and we really had nothing that was super effective till late in the game. Low Kick what's Low Kick going to do against Misty? Not very much. It's actually Starmie's resisted to Low Kick because it's Psychic type. Okay, Karate Chop isn't going to do much against Brock. Low Kick will do okay against Brock, but you don't get level 20, so you gotta go all the way to level 20 to get it to beat Brock, or you just use Karate Chop. Okay, Leer, Focus Energy, Seismic Toss. I mean, Seismic Toss you might need if you don't get any of these other moves to beat Ghosts, but access to Dig is helpful. Earthquake is helpful, and especially in the Elite Four. And you don't have a glaring weakness with this Pokemon, like you're weak to Psychic and Ghost, but there's a lot of stuff here that counters that. And I think that the fact that its attack stat is so high, I think it's one of the highest attack stats in the game. When you get to Machamp at level 37, you're just moving forward with that high stat. So that's why this one lands at number 3. It just doesn't have a lot of fighting type moves that coincide with it. So the next Pokemon you're going to see has nothing but fighting type moves, and it resulted in one of the fastest times ever. So Machamp, Machamp, Machoke line, whatever, came in at 1 hour and 22 minutes and 24 seconds. Let's move on to Hitmonlee. And I will say this, I'm pretty confident with Chop. I can probably get that under an hour and 20 minutes easily, maybe down to an hour and 15 minutes with another playthrough. Knowing what I know now, there's probably a lot of things I could do to help that. You also don't have a stat modifying move with Machop and Machamp and Machoke like you do with other Pokemon. So this Pokemon had to take things as it was and still did pretty good in the game without a stat. So you're seeing that There's two massive variants between like Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, who is number 2. Their stats are exactly the same, pretty much, but the problem is their movesets are the exact opposite. One leaned into your stat and your typing, the other one did not lean into that. And you're seeing, and they both had a stat modifier. Where you're seeing the two in the middle, the Mankey and the Machop line, they don't have a stat modifier. So I think that's what prevented them from getting over the hump and being better than the next one, which is Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee comes in at number 2. Now the next Pokemon is classified as Fighting Water. So if you don't want to classify it, this would be your champ. I wouldn't argue too much with it. But in my opinion, I still want to count the fighting type that is part of Poliwrath. But we'll get to that here in a second. So this Pokemon has very high attack. It does have that special variance, but this Pokemon leans into, it just basically just says, you know what, piss on our special attack. We're just going to lean into our attack stat and our speed, and that's exactly what it does. It literally has and our typing. So it starts the game off with Double Kick. Its stab move automatically has 45 base power with stab. And it hits twice. That's 90 base power move to start the game. 100% accurate. 30 power points, so it can get you through a lot of part of the game without having to heal. Meditate. If you ever come across anything that's resisted, you can use Meditate and boost your attack stat by 1 stage every time. And also you can keep that for later when we need to do the badge boost. Rolling Kick, Jump Kick, and High Jump Kick. I did not get those moves because Double Kick is just more reliable to me. And I can always boost how powerful Double Kick was by just hitting a Meditate here and there. Focus Energy is worthless, and Mega Kick we didn't use it, but it wouldn't have been a bad move because of our high attack. And then when you look at our TM moveset, we don't have a lot, but the TM moves that we do get lean into our attack stat. We get Mega Punch, we get Body Slam, we can get Double Edge if we need to. We have to get Seismic Toss because we can't hit Ghost without it. Swift, all those lean in to our high attack stat, and this is a prime example where creating the move pool around the stats works. It just coincides so well. It synergizes so well, and that results in this Pokemon being able to just fly through the early part of the game. It flies through the middle part of the game, and it's probably the only Pokemon I'm ever going to play through, except for maybe like 2, where Double Kick and Meditate, the 2 moves it starts the game with, are all the way there till the end. So, and then here is the champ, the number 1 Pokemon on this list, and that is Poliwrath. Poliwag, Poliwhirl, Poliwrath. Now, I talk about stat variants. Look at the stat variants here. So the biggest stat variance is our best stat is our defense, which I don't know why that is. I guess it's because we have boxing gloves on. And our lowest stat is special, 70. So that's a 25 stat variance. So this is a very well-balanced Pokemon. What's actually odd about this is, and I'll go ahead and disqualify myself a little bit by being biased here, because Poliwhirl is my favorite Pokemon in Generation 1. But Poliwhirl actually has a higher speed than Poliwrath. It's special, and all the other stats are kind of lower, but everything else gets boosted and speed goes down. So if I played through this again, so this playthrough took 1 hour and 9 minutes and 34 seconds. So if I played through it again, I would lean into getting specific vitamins to mitigate the fact that our speeds are gonna drop when we evolve, and I would have fixed that, so to speak. I would have found a way to fix that. We do start the game as a water type, so we actually have some struggles on Route 3 with the water type, and actually against our rival as well, a second rival fight. But once we get Bubble Beam, and then Water Gun, and then once we evolve into Poliwhirl, we get fists, we get hands, so we can do Mega Punch, and then we fly through the game at that point. The game just snowballs so well for this Pokemon. We get Body Slam via level up, so we might even get that before we get them out of the SSN. We usually get there earlier. But then we also get a very good move in Amnesia, where we can boost our special stat. And when you do that, it does the badge boost as well to all the other moves that have, all the other stats that have a badge correlating it. So, very good stat modifier. I don't use Hydro Pump. And then when you look at the level up move pool, so like I said, we got stab and water moves. And we have fighting moves. We only have 1 fighting move, so that's what's crazy about this. We're fighting Pokemon with only 1 fighting move, and that's Submission. However, we do have the best coverage of all the Pokemon, which is why I think this is number 1. Which is why it ended up resulting in it being number 1. The coverage of this Pokemon. First off, you get like Mega Kick, you get Body Slam, so that works well with our decent attack stat. Then you have access to Water Gun and Bubble Beam. It's Stab. And for the time in which the game we use it, it works very well. it doesn't go like long term to like the end of the game. We have better moves we can use. And one thing I would have definitely changed is I would not have used Surf. Whenever I played through, I would probably have not used Surf at all. The reason why I wouldn't use Surf, even though it does have some stab to it, is you can't unlearn it. And when it comes to the Elite Four, there's not a lot of things you can do against the Elite Four where Surf is like the most effective move. Ice Beam would do better. Blizzard does better. And we have access to some of the most powerful in-game moves in the game. Blizzard, Earthquake, Psychic are 3 very powerful moves that we can use. And so that, coinciding with a decent special, works very well, even though none of it is stab. So yeah, that's why this Pokemon is the best fighting type in the game. And like I said, if I played through again, I would bet anything I could get this under an hour. If with the changes I could make to fix some time, I could get this in definitely under an hour and 5 minutes, but I would shoot for less than an hour. And knowing what I know now, and knowing not to use Surf is helpful in some situations, but there's a lot of Pokemon it doesn't actually do a lot against. So, but that is my video. Let me know what you think. Who do you think is the best fighting type in Generation 1? I think I've made a pretty good case for all of them. There's some Pokemon that have like loyalties. People have loyalties to. A lot of people like Hitmonchan. I had a couple friends. I told them about this. Their playthrough, like, I'm sorry, Hitmonlee, and like, Hitmonlee's the best. I'm like, it's good, very good, but not quite as good as the other Pokemon. But yeah, that's my video. I want to thank everyone for watching. This has been the top fighting Pokemon in Generation 1. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think someone's better. If you don't regard Poliwrath as a fighting type, or it shouldn't count because he doesn't get it till so late in the game, you could disregard that and crown Hitmonlee in your mind as the champion. I wouldn't argue too much with that. I will argue, however, if you try to change the order. Hitmonchan is the worst. Mankey was pretty good, and Machamp was pretty good, and Hitmonlee was definitely the best of those 4, and Poliwrath was the best of all 5 of them. But like I said, dual typing definitely helps Poliwrath. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have a good one, and see ya.